Hi, this is Leslie Quinn, real estate attorney and real estate broker here in the state of Florida. Pursuant to the National Association of Realtors, the recent litigation, there are practice changes that have to be implemented. With that said, is that each state should have compensation agreements that they are instituting. We here have what's called a compensation agreement from the seller to the buyer's broker. And in this agreement, basically, we have two parties, which is the seller of the property and the buyer's broker. Now, this is for the seller to agree to pay the buyer's broker a percentage or a dollar amount with regard to procuring a ready, willing, and buyer to purchase their property. Now, it may be a listed property, it may be a for sale by owner property, okay? But the buyer and the buyer's broker must have an agreement between themselves. This is a separate agreement. Going to compensate the buyer's broker, you must have in writing like this agreement in Florida or a similar agreement that you have legal counsel draw up, or whether or not your state has that. They have to agree in writing to pay amount or dollar amount in writing, put in writing. Okay. So what we have here is suffice. So we have the parties, and then we have the property. Could be listed by seller's broker. Seller's broker is not a party to this contract or this agreement. If it is listed, it's the seller's broker. Okay, the term, again, every agreement has a term, meaning ended. Compensation will take effect and this agreement will remain in effect, meaning the seller, is agreed to pay a certain amount, broker, and if automatically extends through the closing date of purchase. So the buyer just make an offer that is accepted, and there's a purchase and sale contract. There's no need to actually update this agreement. Okay, it automatically extends, even if the term is less than that period of time. Okay, if there is a listing, okay, we have a listing. Term does not extend past the listing date or any extensions or effective protection periods. Okay, in every listing, there's an effective protection period generally. That the agreement does not have to be updated here, but it will automatically extend. Now, the contract for sale and purchase is executed by the buyer. Buyer's broker is the procuring cause, meaning buyer's broker brought the buyer that executed the contract that is going to closing. It will extend automatically through the closing. Okay. The key with any compensation for a broker is that they have to be the procuring cause, and that is an issue that is litigated a lot. Here, basically, we do have it clear that we have that is due to the buyer's broker if they actually bring a buyer that executes a contract that closes, right? We have seller will compensate buyer's broker. It could be a flat fee. It could be a percentage of the purchase price plus a certain amount. Thereof. There can be other terms that you put in here. Okay. Sure, with any contract, the terms are clear. Okay. Seller acknowledges that the compensation paid to buyer's broker is for the services of buyer's broker to the buyer. Okay. Now, this is unique and different because normally in a contract you have two parties. One is providing services or products, and the other one is buying the services or products, and is being provided specifically to them. In this case, it's a third-party arrangement where the seller is paying for somebody else's services. So the seller's not paying for the services that the buyer's broker is providing to the seller. They're paying for the services that the buyer's broker is being provided to the buyer. Because when any litigation arises, you have to understand that we look at, so you have to have standing. In this case, the buyer is not a party to this agreement. Okay, even though the services are being provided to them. Okay. Dispute resolution. We have controversies, claims, and other matters, and so forth. Mediation is the quickest and the cheapest. It's normal contract. I mean, your contract might say something different with regard to settling disputes that arise from this agreement. Okay. So, in world, we normally go through mediation and arbitration. Okay. For arbitration and your dispute resolution terms the costs and expenses and so forth of doing that. Okay. That does have, factor into whether or not people are going to proceed with any kind of dispute. The agreement is going to be construed under the law of the state where you're doing business. It's Florida. Agreement pursuant to, this new litigation settlement. All brokers' commissions are not set by law and fully negotiable. This language is in every single agreement now, and it's mandatory language. So make sure if you are drafting your own agreement that you do have this language in it. It's specific. I also say that no event buyer's broker's compensation can exceed the amount in the written agreement with the buyer. So we're referencing terms that are between the buyer's broker and the buyer in their agreement here. That means that the compensation that is provided from the seller to the buyer's broker can't exceed the amount that the buyer has agreed to pay buyer's broker. Okay. So keep in mind that, when you're discussing any offers and you're consummating any sales transactions, that you have to coordinate your compensation terms with any agreement the buyer has with the buyer's broker, with anything that the seller is willing to pay under an agreement like this, sellers to buyer's broker, and with any seller's broker to buyer's broker compensation. So compensation for the buyer's agent now can come from not only the buyer, it can come from the seller, and it can come from the listing, a brokerage. Okay, so make sure you have the proper parties sign these agreements. In this case, it's the seller and the buyer's broker. It may be your broker and not the real estate agent unless they are authorized. Keyword is authorized. With these new agreements, advisable at this point in time to have the broker sign them so that the broker is fully aware of the terms of each and every compensation arrangement that agents have. If it's a large brokerage, you might have some sort of screening process. Just make sure everybody's in compliance with these agreements. There's no conflicting terms. Just allow your agents to conduct business or their level of experience. But it's really up to you. Assistance with your transactions, your tracks, compensation agreements, and so forth, please let us know. We have trainings, we have contract, group coaching, due diligence, proceed, structuring, and so forth. If that's something you're interested in, our guided, and we hope that you have a successful career. You are able to navigate these changes without much stress. Take care.